We are here on the matter of the state of Ohio versus Daniel Barber. We are set today for a sentencing hearing. We were previously here on May 8th when the defendant pled guilty to 3 counts of trafficking and cocaine.
I'll be brief. We're here this morning hat in hand. I know my client has a history, and more specifically, he's got a history with this particular court. Previously, he was granted community control, although, yes, he did complete that successfully. Obviously, he's gotten himself into more trouble and is in front of Your Honor again. Your Honor, my client, I don't think is an evil person. Obviously, he makes a lot of very poor choices, though. Was doing what he thought he needed to do to get by. Obviously, that's wrong. And I've talked to him, and he's told me that I think he's in his mid-30s now. And he's like, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to sit in jail. I don't want to, have to go to court. He has a family. He has a state. If the court were to consider a community controlled sanction, he does have a stable residence here in Lake County. He has a job lined up. He said it was a union job. My apologies to the court. I don't recall which one, but he has a job lined up.
Mr. Barber, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
First of all, I want to apologize to the court. I want to apologize to you too, O'Donnell, by even coming back here for a sentencing again. I take full responsibility in my actions. I know what I was.
How do you tell me how you take responsibility for your actions?
I know what I was doing was wrong.
Then why'd you do it?
That's what I was about to get to. I want to start by saying I started off with a job. I had a job. I had a good job. I paid off all my fines. I got my license like you asked me to. I paid like $3,000 in fines to get my license. I got a car. I was taking care of my twins. I was taking care of my daughter. I was taking care of my household for real. I slipped and fell at work, and right before they were supposed to be compensating me at work for missing work a lot by having to go to the doctor, that I got laid off. When I got laid off, it started getting a little hard for me. I started falling back in debt. I started taking out loans, all type of stuff. Like, I just kept getting more and more in debt. I ended up losing my car by getting presents and stuff for Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that. Come up with a way to keep my lights on, heat for my girl put me out. All type of stuff was just going on. So that's why I take full responsibility in what I did, because I knew it was wrong, but I should have called my old probation officer, which she told me to call her if I ever got into any.
Who was that?
I think her name was Haley. I forgot the first one I had, but Haley was my second one. And she told me to call her if I ever got into any trouble or I needed some help with anything. And I forgot all about that, for real. You give me one more chance on some supervision, because that's what really keeps me out of trouble, like me being supervised.
You're 34 years old.
Yeah, I know.
Can't supervise you forever.
Right.
I mean, that's been tried, right? Over and over and over again since 2009.
Yeah.
How long have you been dealing drugs?
10 years.
Why were you dealing drugs if you were working as a machinist?
No, you're talking about how long this time?
Well, yeah. How long this time?
Probably like for the last year.
Okay. So you got cocaine, you got fentanyl. What else you got?
That's all.
That's all. Where were you getting it?
Off the street.
Which street? Drenick?
No.
East 100th?
Probably Cleveland.
Why are you dealing drugs if you have the ability to earn $20 an hour?
Well, it was hard for me to find another job too, because I filled out a lot of applications, but all the calls came back. It was from Solon and Lakewood and places that was far in the wintertime, basically. It was like, and then I lost my car. So it was hard for me to get out to Solon and stuff like that. And then one of the jobs I I went to in like Whitcliffe around my area.
God, I had a guy named Jared Bell who was on probation a few years back. Lived in Cleveland, had custody of his minor child, took buses out to Solon where he worked every day. Pain in the ass, but he did it. Got off of probation, successfully completed it.
Well, I feel like I can do that.
Well,
I feel like I can
you
try
should
to
have
do
done
it.
that instead of dealing drugs. Okay?
Right.
Because who you selling to?
You're right.
I mean, who are you selling to?
Some guy named Mike Thompson.
Well, I know on this occasion, but you were selling to a bunch of people, right?
No, that was it.
That was it? You only sold to him?
Mm-hmm.
He's the only guy you sold to. How long have you been selling to him?
10 years. I knew him for like 10 years.
He's the only guy you sold to.
No, not per se.
Well, not. What does that mean? Now, I asked you who you were selling to, and you said the only guy you sold to was this Thompson guy.
I don't know everybody. I don't know names.
Okay, how many guys you been selling to? How many people you been selling to?
Recently?
In the last 2 years.
Probably like 3 or 4.
How much money you make off of that in the last 2 years?
Not much.
Not much, but you were doing it to make money. So what else were you doing for money when you got fired from the machine job?
I was gambling. I was gambling on sports bets, which I was losing more money.
That's why gambling exists, for the house to win.
Yeah, I learned that. I stopped. I cut gambling out. I don't gamble. No, I don't gamble.
What kind of drugs you use?
I don't use drugs. I only just got my marijuana, my medical card for my shoulders, my back pains.
So was this a regular thing you did? Was use the Clark gas station to do your transactions? Because 3 out of 4 were at Clark, right? Or was one at the house? I can't remember. I lost track.
No, it was mostly up at Clark gas station.
So you just walk from the house over to Clark, do your deal, and go home.
Yeah, if I probably was somewhere else.
Who was your supplier?
I didn't have a supplier.
Then where'd you get the drugs?
From friends on the street in Cleveland.
So you would buy a bunch from them and then sell it to whoever wanted to buy it from you?
Not per se buy it from them. I probably would just ask them for it to help me out so I can get some extra money.
So the suppliers are giving their drugs away? That doesn't seem likely to me or believable.
I mean, I was though. I definitely.
There's a lot of generous drug dealers out there.
To me, probably. I don't know. I don't think so.
This isn't your first go around with trafficking, right?
Possessions, no.
Trafficking.
Trafficking, no.
You never had a trafficking before?
Yeah, I had one, but
in 2009 you had a trafficking in Cuyahoga.
It was a dime sack of weed when I first was like 18. I sold an undercover a bag of weed.
A number of misdemeanors until through 11, and you got an attempted burglary in 11 in Cuyahoga County.
Yeah, it was more of us receiving stolen property, but I copped out to it because my friend had passed away. So they told me if I go to CBCF, then they would expunge it, and I guess it never got expunged. But I completed the program, and they never expunged it.
What were the probation violations for when you were on probation for that?
Failure to report, I think.
Why did you fail to report?
I think it was more transportation.
Then a few more misdemeanors, 13, 14, and 15. Then a drug possession, F5, and 15 in Cuyahoga. What was that all about?
I think I probably got caught with some marijuana. I can't really remember.
You were put in a CBCF on that occasion and failed to complete it. What happened there?
And CBCF, no, I completed all my CBCF.
That's not what that case is reporting out.
I don't know what that means. I completed my CBCF.
August 25th, 2018, probation violation for failure to complete CBCF. Probation terminated.
Yeah, I don't know what that is about because I completed it.
And after that, or actually in 15, you got a drug abuse, 17 drugs, misdemeanors,
Yeah, I completed that, so I don't know.
weapons under disability here in 20 offense, put on probation in 23, hanging around with Okema Seeley. For some reason, I let you off early. My mistake.
It wasn't your mistake. I did what I was supposed to do for you.
Daniel Barber appeared before the court for sentencing after pleading guilty to multiple drug trafficking charges involving cocaine and fentanyl. The hearing quickly became more than a routine sentencing proceeding, as the judge carefully examined Barber's criminal history, personal circumstances, and explanations for why he had returned to drug dealing despite numerous opportunities to change his life. Barber's defense attorney began by asking the court for leniency, acknowledging that his client had a lengthy history with the criminal justice system and had previously appeared before the same judge. The attorney argued that although Barber had made many poor decisions throughout his life, he was not an evil person. He explained that Barber had successfully completed probation in the past and now wanted to leave his criminal lifestyle behind. According to the defense, Barber had a stable residence, family support, and even a job opportunity waiting for him if the court chose to impose community control instead of a prison sentence. The attorney portrayed Barber as a man who had struggled with life circumstances and who was finally ready to take responsibility and move forward in a positive direction. When the judge invited Barber to speak, he immediately apologized to the court and to the judge for finding himself back in the courtroom facing sentencing yet again. Barber claimed that he took full responsibility for his actions and understood that what he had done was wrong. However, the judge quickly challenged that statement, asking him to explain what taking responsibility actually meant and why he had committed the crimes if he knew they were wrong. Barber then shared his personal story. He explained that he once had a good job, had paid off thousands of dollars in fines, regained his driver's license, purchased a vehicle, and was actively supporting his children and household. According to Barber, everything changed when he suffered a workplace injury. He claimed that after being injured and missing work due to medical appointments, he was eventually laid off. Without a steady income, he began accumulating debt and struggled to meet his financial obligations. He described taking out loans, falling further behind financially, losing his vehicle, and eventually being unable to keep up with household expenses. He stated that these hardships pushed him toward making bad decisions and eventually led him back into drug trafficking. The judge listened, but remained skeptical. Rather than focusing solely on Barber's financial struggles, he emphasized that many people face difficult circumstances without resorting to criminal behavior. Barber admitted that he should have sought help instead of turning to drug sales. He mentioned that a former probation officer had once encouraged him to reach out if he ever found himself in trouble or in need of assistance. Barber admitted that he failed to do so and instead chose a criminal path. He asked the judge for one more opportunity on supervision, claiming that probation and oversight helped keep him out of trouble. The judge responded by pointing out that Barber was now 34 years old and could not remain under supervision forever. He noted that Barber had been given numerous chances through probation and community control since 2009, yet he continued to return to criminal activity. As the conversation continued, the judge questioned Barber about the extent of his drug dealing. Barber admitted that he had been involved in dealing drugs for approximately 10 years in one form or another. When asked specifically about the current offenses, he claimed that he had been trafficking drugs for about a year. The judge questioned why Barber chose to sell drugs when he possessed employable skills and had previously worked as a machinist earning a decent wage. Barber explained that after losing his job, he struggled to find employment, particularly because transportation became difficult after losing his car. He claimed that potential jobs were located far away and that commuting during the winter was challenging. The judge rejected this justification and referenced another former defendant who had successfully used public transportation to maintain employment despite significant obstacles. He emphasized that Barber had options but chose drug trafficking because it appeared easier and more profitable. The judge then turned his attention to Barber's customers and suppliers. Barber initially attempted to minimize his activities, suggesting that he had only sold drugs to a small number of people. However, under questioning, he admitted that he had sold drugs to multiple individuals over an extended period. When asked how much money he earned from trafficking, Barber claimed that he did not make much profit. This explanation failed to impress the judge, who pointed out that Barber clearly engaged in drug dealing for financial gain. The judge also questioned Barber about how he obtained the drugs he sold. Barber gave vague and inconsistent answers, suggesting that he received drugs from friends on the street rather than from a traditional supplier. The judge openly expressed disbelief at the idea that drug dealers were simply giving away narcotics to help Barber make money. Throughout this exchange, Barber appeared increasingly uncomfortable and struggled to provide convincing explanations. The hearing then shifted toward Barber's criminal history. The judge reviewed a record stretching back nearly 2 decades. He noted that Barber's first